What is the main advantage, the main attraction, if you like, from an international tourist of the Greek travel tourist industry?
Well, the industry itself is very resilient and has been in place for a very long time. In terms of inward investment, the country's always been very open, particularly in the areas of hospitality, to taking international investment. So as an industry, it's an attractive one. It operates well within the rule of law and is a good place in which international investors can plan to put their money.
How does that, exactly that, how does it offer, what kind of offers does it have for an international investor in terms of putting their money into this industry?
It's a well-developed infrastructure, which I know personally from having operated in Greece myself, has for the last 30 years been very attractive in comparison with some of the neighbouring countries within the Eastern Mediterranean. So for that reason, it does offer advantages. Now, of course, the recent economic troubles which have affected much of the developed world have also affected Greece, and that has offered opportunities for international investors to acquire assets at what they might consider to be good value.
Does political instability affect necessarily an investor when they plan?
It's difficult to say. Political instability, our studies have shown, is one of the most negative things that can happen in a tourist economy, principally because it deters tourism. But you have examples of tourist destination countries such as Portugal that have operated with considerable difficulties in the political arena without significant impact on their tourism business at all. So I think it's a balance. If it gets to the streets, it certainly is something which can deter tourism. But in terms of government and business, providing the rule of business can continue, it's not a problem.
What goes wrong with the Greek tourist industry?
Nothing with the industry itself. It has been a victim of external factors, particularly in 2015. I mean, the industry has supported in 2015 18% of Greece's GDP, and by our numbers, 1 in 4 jobs in Greece is dependent in some way on tourism. Now, for the first time in a long time, that GDP went into reverse and declined by 1% in 2015. But in 2016, our forecasts are that GDP for tourism and travel will increase by 2 percentage points, thus recovering all the losses of 2015.
And what can the Greek industry do, or the Greek state, how the Greek state can help in order to progress and increase this help?
We do believe it is the responsibility very largely of the state to support tourism at times like this. There are, I think, 2 very important things. Firstly, in terms of the recent change in the application of VAT, particularly in the Aegean Islands, which I understand had a 30% waiver on VAT payments. Now, I think we all understand the requirement to raise revenues, but reinstating this 30% margin on VAT to bring it back to the national level will negatively impact the ability of the travel industry on those islands to market themselves effectively throughout the world. So the first thing is to look very carefully at any increase or application of taxation to travel and tourism at this particular time. There are examples of countries such as the USA that did in fact raise taxes, but they hypothecated those taxes so that the additional revenue went straight back to the industry in order to encourage growth. So the first thing, be very careful about increasing taxes at this time. The second thing is to carry on doing what the Greek government has been doing in terms of communicating very clearly what it is doing about the immigration situation and how that management of that situation means that travel and tourism is not affected. As I say, taxation and communications are the key at a time like this.
Of course, we had the referendum here in Britain, which voted for Britain eventually to get out of the European Union, with all the repercussions for the pound getting stronger, etc. How will all this development affect tourism in Greece, especially from this country, in the short term, but also in the sort of longer term as well?
Well, as I'm sure everybody within the tourism industry knows well, for the 2016 season, most British tour operators will already have taken their position, and indeed may even have bought ahead as far as 2017. So we would not anticipate any immediate change in tour or package business to Greece. Of course, the individual tourist will have less euros in their pocket for their pound sterling, and it all depends how long the current currency fluctuations do continue. So in the immediate short term, there's clearly a significant impact on the pound. I think most authorities expect that will level out during the course of the balance of the year. So in the immediate, no impact on the industry, but maybe a few less Retsinas for the English tourist.